English channel. We are here with the first reaction. So paper हमारे पास आ चुका है. We have got the paper right now. We have set B with us, and the initial impression is, again, the paper is not exactly at the same level as it was in 2024. It's more up to the level of 2023, what we have realized up until now. See, we have with us the esteemed faculties of different subjects, so they will be giving their own expert opinion, and this is just the first reaction. We'll be coming with a detailed explanation from 1 p.m. onwards. But see, I'm history faculty, and what we have seen is if you're comparing it from 2024, the number of history questions have increased this year, around 15-16 questions. And we are talking about set B here, 21 to 30, and from around 91 to 98, 91 to 94, 98, and some other question. So around 15-16 questions of history. And history is again comparatively of the same level as 24-23, but all in all, the paper looks tough. All in all, especially the S&T part, Randhir sir was talking about geography. Geography is slightly easier. Right? So yes, all in all, the paper is good. And the people who have just come out of this exam hall, don't worry too much about, the cutoff and everything. Focus on CSAT. CSAT will be make or break. Other faculties will join in now.
First of all, I will congratulate you, all of you, for having so much courage, to attempt this examination. मुझे लगता है अगर मैं अपने first attempt में होता तो maybe I was not able to, give this paper to. First, have meal, right? Let's hydrate yourself and don't think. Let's bygones be bygones. Now, जो होना था वो हो गया. See, I am a bit excited for my subject, geography. It was very easy. All 12 questions were actually, they were asked from environmental part and specifically from world map. Questions were quite easy. But when it comes to environment, the questions of environment were more from legislative part. So I think that many of the students, they may found it very difficult to attempt. But as far as I am concerned, geography, which is my subject, I am very excited. I am very happy. I will have a detailed explanation on it at 1, right?
1, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. See, I looked at the paper and found that 20 questions, the largest portion, was dedicated to economy. And the beauty and probably the bad part about economy, that it has the capacity to overwhelm the aspirants. But if you look at the questions, barring 2 or 3 questions, most of the questions, even if you have a slight idea about the concepts, by applying your common sense, by applying your presence of mind, you could have been able to solve those questions. For example, there are 2 questions that appear prima facie like a CSAT question, that this is the revenue deficit, this is the revenue receipt, how much would be the fiscal deficit, or how much would be the revenue deficit of the government. See, for that, you don't have to get overwhelmed by the calculation. You just need to understand how much money are coming in, how much money are going out. Simple, right? Simple maths. So this could have been solved by presence of mind and just by knowing the formula of deficit. Similarly, if you look at other questions like what are financial markets, the different aspects of financial markets, we understand from 2020 onwards, India has seen a greater participation in stock markets just by the virtue of digitization and reduction in market interest rate. So that is why UPSC has also mirrored their question formation in this particular financial market. So earlier there were 1-2 questions. Now you'll see there are many questions in the financial market. So this highlights how economy is changing, and ultimately UPSC is also mirroring that change in its paper setting. So overall, the paper is good. It requires your presence of mind. You need not be getting afraid of 2 or 3 questions that would have thrown you off. But all in all, a decent paper.
But I think that this paper was more tricky than the previous year, isn't it?
Right, sir.
That 3 statements question, right?
Yes, 3 statement was a bouncer that UPSC has. As IPL is going on, so you must be knowing a 2 bouncer rule. So similarly, UPSC is also following the same rule, is trying to surprise the candidates.
Like we were discussing this circular economy, right? This was tricky.
Tricky question.
Although it was very easy, but this 3 statement will confuse, a new candidate especially.
So our team has also done a review on the number of questions, StudyIQ team, and you can see the number of questions here. And what they were also saying is there was not time for 2 and 3 iteration. We talk about how many iterations you can do, and there was not enough time for 2 and 3 iterations because the paper is lengthy also. And I was going through history, set B, 21 to 30, and from 90 onward, some questions are there. There are certain questions which are like PYQs. Araghatta has been asked, Fahian, Chandragupta 2. Araghatta, we have done a 10-year marathon of history PYQ also. So there are history PYQs. Questions are tough. Good afternoon, everyone. Anisha, Rishi, Dipanvita, and others. So yes, people who have given the paper, don't worry too much about the cutoff and everything, as we have discussed earlier. Paper is tough, paper is tricky. History questions have increased. Any other input, sir?
Well, yes, sir. With polity, I would like to take polity and IR here. Means the thing that has changed this year, specifically 2025, where was the major focus of UPSC was specifically towards the position of center-state relations. Like governor has been put into the question, and apart from that, the the removal procedures
The
they have
Supreme
been
Court
there.
intervened.
Yes, because recently what we are watching since last couple of years,
yes.
okay, specifically from Tamil Nadu,
And
okay, and Andhra
Kerala,
Pradesh,
there.
Kerala, okay, and with the tussle between the center and state, okay, it has increased a lot between so the president's relation, the questions related to presidents, okay, the questions related to the parliament, and the questions related to governor, they have totally dominated the whole segment of polity. And specifically talking about IR as well. So IR means like one question which was very much in trend as well, means it was almost in a week, 2 to 3 days, it was there into the question into the newspapers as well, that INSTC, International North-South Corridor. Right? So it was expected to come, and it obviously it was here. And apart from that, there were a few legislative questions as well related to the international treaties, etc. So specifically, the focus has been directly towards the exact issues, not exactly on the topics, but yes, exactly on the issues. So means one thing that I would like to just differentiate, that is difference between topics and issues. Topics there are many, but issues there are some certain ones and some highlighted ones. So that issues they have been taken into the consideration, specifically polity and IR.
Right.
Since Russia-Ukraine war, you think bodies like EU, bodies like NATO have always been in news. So see, this time NATO is in question.
NATO, yes.
So that is why the relevance of current affairs, the relevance of understanding the contemporary events, and not just understanding them, highlighting them in the static part of the syllabus also becomes very important. You just can't read the newspapers and think that my preparation is done. You have to also understand the background of that issue, right? That is where context keeps a very important role in the UPSC exam.
One more thing we want to add. Randhi sir, Ankit sir, Praveen sir, we were having a look at the paper. 11:30 paper came, around 11:40 we got the paper, and we saw how lengthy it was. It's very easy for us to sit in exam, AC room, and say the paper is this and that. The people who are actually giving it on the ground in like there are certain exactly. It's not easy. So yes, paper is tough, and take a chill. Enjoy this particular time period. Don't eat too much.
Stay hydrated.
Yes,
first.
stay hydrated. Control your hormones. Don't look here and there, and focus on CSAT paper. So yeah, that's it.
Please eat something, okay?
Yes, you
Just don't
have
stay
something.
hungry or don't stay not hydrated for the next 2 to 3 hours, because that is crucial.
But yes, don't eat too much, because again, you have to be a little light, because 2:30 to 4:30 is the peak sleeping time.
Sir. Eat if you want to eat. If you are hungry, eat. If you are, hydrated, no need to drink. If you don't feel you are hydrated, please drink.
No,
And
the
it's totally
point
up
is,
to
the
you.
point is,
if you
we
Don't
like
get panic.
Yeah,
And
get
if you
panic,
don't
simply.
have your cars with yourself,
Yeah.
I'll recommend one thing: find out a nearby mall. Mall actually provides you with an air-conditioned climate.
Yeah.
So the amount of exhaustion will be quite less if you go to a mall and sit there.
So
See, what I think, students are more prone to heat stroke right now.
Yes.
That's why I'm telling them to stay hydrated. This
In
is very
Delhi,
important.
the temperatures, although are quite controlled right now, but the amount of humidity is quite high. It makes the weather more unbearable.
as Akhil is asking last question before we end. So yes, the paper is not that easy. Paper is like up the level of 2023. Lengthy paper it is. So yes, and that is the basic estimate which we have done. You cannot do 2 and 3 iteration in this paper. It's actually tough. We talk about 3-2-1-0 method and this and that. So the paper is tough, not easy. So that is
Means,
it.
sir, it is a very general perception right now that we must understand as well, that since last 3 years, 23, 24 and 22, what we have seen, the cutoff was drastically reducing. So, UPSC being one of the most prestigious institution of this globe, not just India. Okay, means I just met someone, and he gave a very perfect statement. He was from the services only, retired. So he told me that if UPSC wouldn't have been a recruitment agency, and just understand, if UPSC was an intelligence agency, then UPSC on one side, all FBI, CIA, etc., would be on other side. Okay, so a very smart organization UPSC is. So we are dealing with the smartest organization of this globe. And now since they watched what was the condition with regard to the cutoff, going below 80, going below 90. So obviously this is providing an impact on the examinations level and the standard. So right now what they did here, okay, they made one more attempt, okay, to provide you an answer that please remember this is the toughest examination of this nation, okay, and if you think that going below the cutoff it is going to be easy for you, no, it's not going to be easy. So understand this thing, if cutoff is low, okay, that doesn't mean examination is easy. Low cutoff, that explains that examination level it has enhanced. And yes, this particular question paper, like just yesterday only I was having the evening session, so with the students I was having this discussion that art and culture question, you will be having the bombardment of the art and culture question,
But
and
surprisingly
there is no art and culture question. There is no question from current affairs of art and culture.
Exactly.
Right? And surprisingly, means what I have been always surprised with the question paper is one thing, that is the lack of the Indian geography questions specifically, sir. Right?
more from physical geography.
More from physical geography, that a trend that has switched.
Exactly.
Right? This is my observation. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. So
There was no question related to mountains,
Mountains,
geography of
river.
India, river.
So I will ask.
lake.
I will just discuss some history questions. Like Araghatta question is a PYQ. It is in 20 set B. Then there is one question related to Fahian, who came during the period of Chandragupta II. So these are some straightforward questions which have been asked. Question has been asked on Raja Ram Mohan Roy non-cooperation movement. We'll have a detailed discussion on the history portion. So the questions are like there are 10 plus questions and questions not easy. Just because Araghatta is a PYQ doesn't mean history question is easy. Just because they've asked Fahian came, and we have discussed this multiple times in our batches. Fahian, Yuan Tsang, what is the order? F comes before H. So Fahian came before Yuan Tsang, Chandragupta II, Harsha, all these things we have discussed a lot. So there are so many questions which we have discussed and they have been asked in the exam. But again, it's not true for all the paper, all the domains, be it polity, geography or others.
and sir, yeah, one thing
I think we should take some questions. Bharat is asking how much will be the cutoff. Well, right now, we have just given you the first impression. We'll go and study the paper properly and then we'll come up with a cutoff, because saying any number is easy for us, but we need to have something on our own also, so that we are able to tell you
with
proper
concrete,
cutoff. Yeah.
concrete evidence will come, right?
Yeah. So as of now, it is like not so a valid thing to provide any figure. Okay. Let's wait for an hour or two maximum. Okay. And the answer should be here.
That
with us.
can vary from people to people. I can have a different estimate of cutoff. So again, 88 was the last year's cutoff, means this year's cutoff. Before that, it was in 70s. And the paper is in between these two papers, So accordingly, you can think about the cutoff. But again, we'll have a detailed discussion. We'll
And so
do
these
that.
are two questions that we must answer. So Sunny has asked, what do you have to say about next year's students like 26 and 27? So guys, just fasten your seat belt. Okay, the temperature, the weather is not going to be good.
And be ready
Okay,
for
means
the
like,
surprises.
yeah, be ready for the surprises. No, we are not trying to be pessimist, or we're not trying to spread some fear or frightening something. No, absolutely not. We are just trying to be honest, trying to be factual, because questions what we as a teachers we have seen. Okay, it means obviously going through the multiple ages of experience, etc., and so on. So obviously when we see the question paper, when we had the first impression of the question paper, we had this thing only in the mind that yes, this time it's up level ahead. Right. So remember 2026, and specifically one thing that's I would like to correlate here with this particular answer, that what the student from 26 and 27 should have. The questions what I realized means like what I analyzed here, that they were more based on the analytical approach. Analytical approach, as in this one question, sir, we were discussing about the C17 Globe Master, about the IL76. Okay, it was absolutely not just current affairs. It was more because these C17 Globe Masters, they have been, in continuous particular trend. Okay, since we sent them to Turkey, we sent them to Nepal as well, right? And when the flight got this Azerbaijan flight crash in December 2024. C17 Globe Masters, they were something which were very much in news with regard to the humanitarian aid.
Even when the US sent the illegal immigrants back to India, they sent them about
C17 Globe
C17.
Masters.
One
right?
more thing I want to add. Recently, few days back, I discussed Chile-India's relations in my current affair program, right?
No,
Two
we are not
questions were
talking
asked.
about Lay's chili lemon. We are talking about we are talking about the country chili.
Two questions were
Country
asked
chili.
from Chile. One, this Andes mountain,
Andes
and
mountain.
second was the lithium. You know, the mineral which is found in Chile.
Chile
So-
has the largest reserve of
So
lithium.
for beginner, I always suggest them to go through world map. You can, if you have thorough knowledge about the world map, you can solve around 10 to 20 questions. By relating these subjects with world map.
True.
Do you agree?
Absolutely,
Yes,
sir,
absolutely, sir.
So with us, a very senior faculty of StudyIQ IAS, Abhishek sir.
Hello,
Please
guys.
sir, what is your view on specifically history? See,
History, I think, as per the expectation, in fact, I would say that beyond the expectation, because the last 2-3 years there were very less number of questions, but this year the number of questions I think has been quite significant. Level of difficulty, I would say that it's not much difficult to that level, but yes, the questions were quite doable. And if we talk about the portions such as the conventional portions, particularly from the political administrative background in the different empires in the ancient as well as the national movement in the modern history, the questions have been asked from these conventional topics, I would say. So I would say that the questions have been quite good enough, right? Quite doable questions.
in comparison to 2024.
Yeah, in comparison to 2020.
Somebody was asking, Rakesh was asking Randhir sir, that Indian geography is neglected
It
this
was
time.
totally neglected, my friend. That's why I always suggest my students, I advise them to first, if you are starting the geography, first go through map, world map. At least give 4 to 5 days to world map. Have thorough knowledge about mountains, about plateaus, about rivers, about straits, about isthmus. Then go through physical map. Physical geography. In physical geography, they have asked question from your origin of continents and oceans.
Yes, true.
The theory is related to origin of continents and oceans.
Means
Continent
historical
history.
context
It was
they have
very
there.
easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what happens, many students, they avoid such topics. Why? Because they think that it will be asked in what your means examination. So this is very important. We have to understand that UPSC is always ready with the most advanced guns which you don't know, and they will throw it in front of you and you will be surprised every year. they will give you-
I'll tell you a surprise, sir. Okay, I was reading that history question again.
Exactly.
So there was a line, sedition is my religion. So I just read the first and I was like, wow, easy question. It is by Mahatma Gandhi. Sedition is my religion. So then I read the second line.
Which moment?
It is the statement given by Mahatma Gandhi. In which moment? I was like, this is unfair. Right. So what they have been doing is now surprising element. They have enhanced their surprising element. Okay, that history is my religion. Okay, everyone has, sedition is my religion. Okay, everyone is aware that, okay, it is MK Gandhi. But now tell in which movement MK Gandhi gave this statement, right? So it was now for me that this is a bit unfair, right?
So where he was
Yeah.
calling for the disobedience.
Yes.
So I was going through this paper, set B, when we got the paper. First 20 questions. I was like, what are these questions?
Actually.
And they were like related to S&T and
Yes,
everything.
yes, yes.
So science and tech and those portions are actually tough. So people again don't get demotivated that I'm getting this marks or that marks or whatever. Just focus on CSAT for now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So what was for polity and IR? Okay, just some minutes back we discussed. So one more thing with polity, okay, and IR specifically. So with IR, they have talked on the questions on issues. Okay, remember, there was no questions directly from current affairs in IR. What this is my analysis is, okay. IR questions, they have been on issues, right? See, we were expecting that they would be asking questions about Gaza, the West Bank, okay, or maybe the issue of Ukraine, or maybe USSR would come into the question because, it has been too much of trend as is Russia eyeing for USSR 2.0, right? So means like there were many speculations that Gulf of Mexico that converted into Gulf of America.
Maybe questions
right?
will
Maybe
be from-
questions. Means like questions would be from Gulf.
Yes.
Right? What is Gulf or
This
something
Persian
like
Gulf,
that.
yeah.
So Gulf things and all. So every such a speculation has been vanished. Every such a speculation has been washed away by UPSC's absolute mindset, right? So here the absolute factors for polity specifically. Once again, they have focused on issues. Okay,
Yes.
the burning issues, not the current affairs. They have totally focused on burning issues, right? And specifically with, sir, I guess economics, it has been same as well, right? So, any other questions, guys, who would like to ask?
Randhir sir,
Harsh,
people have
today is
committed.
my birthday. Happy birthday,
And
Harsh,
Mr. Peppermint is
Current affair.
congratulating you.
Ah,
Just
thank
see
you,
the
thank
readers
you.
high.
Current
Thank you.
affairs.
So, yeah.
शुभम गुप्ता सर जगह खाली रह गई हो तो शुभम एक जगह खाली आप आ जाओ है ना आपके लिए जगह
शुभम के लिए जगह बचा के रखना।
You can come and join us.
No, yeah.
So let's, I think that
Yeah, that
we
will
should
be
end
enough.
here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What strategy should we follow for next? See, the basics would be the same. You have to study your foundation subjects also. You also have to study your newspapers. How you study, that makes it different than next year. And we'll discuss everything in detail in our next video, which will take up from 1 p.m. onwards. That is a detailed analysis of the papers. Here, teachers individually, respected to their subjects, they will come and discuss answers in detail. So please stay tuned. We'll go on live in another
Have
few
a
minutes
meal.
now.
Have a meal first. Stay hydrated. Stay hydrated, and please believe on yourself. God is with you. Don't worry. You all have worked very hard. We are coming at what?
1
One,
p.m.
right? We will have a thorough discussion on what your paper one.
Okay, cool.
Anything, sir? Abhishek, sir?
No, that's all.
So
Thank you so
newspaper
much.
student कर सकते हैं
Thank you.
बिल्कुल नहीं.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so we
Thank you,
are
everyone.
done with the session. Thank you, everyone. We'll meet you with the detailed discussion.
Okay.